The Queen travels without a passport. Scotland's national animal doesn't exist. And there's a British town that changes countries twice a year. These facts about the UK sound completely fake, but every single one is true. Stick around for number 23. It'll blow your mind. What's up, everyone? Today, we're diving into 30 absolutely wild facts about the United Kingdom that sound like they came straight out of a fantasy novel. But I promise you, everything you're about to hear is 100% verified and real. Let's get into it. Fact 1. Starting strong, the UK has no official language. Yep, you heard that right. English is spoken everywhere. It's the de facto language, but there's actually no law that makes it the official language of the United Kingdom. Welsh, Scottish Gaelic, Irish, and Cornish are also recognized, but English? Never officially designated. Mind-blowing when you think about it. Fact 2. Here's one that'll mess with your head. The Queen, well, now King Charles, doesn't need a passport to travel internationally. Why? Because British passports are issued in the monarch's name. The document literally says, Her Majesty requests and requires. So basically, they'd be asking themselves for permission to travel. Every other royal family member needs one, but not the monarch. Talk about ultimate privilege. Fact 3. Scotland's national animal is a unicorn. Not a lion, not a stag, not something that actually exists. A mythical unicorn. And this isn't some modern joke either. The unicorn has been a Scottish heraldic symbol since the 12th century, representing purity, innocence, and power. The royal coat of arms shows a unicorn chained because Scots believed free unicorns were dangerous. I'm not making this up. Fact 4. London has more Indian restaurants than Mumbai and Delhi combined. Over 3,000 Indian restaurants operate in London alone. That's insane. The British colonized India, brought the cuisine back, and now the UK has become one of the world's biggest hubs for Indian food. Chicken tikka masala, which many consider Britain's national dish, was actually invented in Glasgow, Scotland. The colonizer became the colonized, at least when it comes to food. Fact 5. Big Ben isn't actually Big Ben. Everyone calls the tower Big Ben, but that's wrong. The tower's official name is the Elizabeth Tower, renamed in 2012 for Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee. Before that, it was just called the Clock Tower. Big Ben is actually the name of the massive bell inside the tower, weighing over 13 tons. So next time someone says they visited Big Ben, you can be that person who corrects them. Fact 6. The UK technically owns 1% of Ukraine. Wait, what? Here's the story. After the Crimean War in the 1850s, Britain was granted a small plot of land in Sevastopol as a cemetery for fallen soldiers. That land is still legally British territory, protected by international treaty. So technically, a tiny piece of Ukraine is British soil. Given the current geopolitical situation, this fact hits different in 2025. Fact 7. There's only one place name in the entire United Kingdom with an exclamation mark. Westward Ho in Devon, England. It was named after Charles Kingsley's novel Westward Ho, published in 1855. The town was literally built as a tourist resort after the book became popular. And yes, that exclamation mark is officially part of the name. Imagine having to write that on every piece of mail. Fact 8. By law, the British Library must receive a free copy of every single book published in the UK. This legal deposit requirement means publishers have to send them a copy within 1 month of publication. They add about 8,000 items every single day. We're talking books, magazines, newspapers, maps, even digital publications now. The collection has over 170 million items, and the shelves, if laid end to end, would stretch 750 kilometers. That's London to Edinburgh and back. Fact 9. London Bridge has been sold 3 times in history. The most famous sale was in 1968 when American businessman Robert McCulloch bought it for $2 million. $4 million thinking he was buying Tower Bridge, the fancy one with towers. Plot twist, he actually knew what he was buying. But the myth persists. That bridge was dismantled, shipped to Arizona, and rebuilt in Lake Havasu City, where it still stands today. Imagine buying a bridge and having it shipped across the Atlantic. Fact 10. Wales has more castles per square mile than any country on Earth. Over 600 castles dot the Welsh landscape. That's one castle for every 100 square miles. Some are massive fortresses, others are ruins, but they're everywhere. Edward I alone built 17 castles in Wales to maintain English control. Wales is basically a real-life Game of Thrones set, minus the dragons. Actually, Wales has dragon imagery everywhere too. Coincidence? I think not. Fact 11. The shortest war in recorded history was between Britain and Zanzibar, and it lasted exactly 38 minutes. On August 27, 1896, Zanzibar's Sultan died, and his nephew seized power without British approval. Britain demanded he step down. He refused. The British Navy showed up with 5 warships, and at 9:02 a.m. they opened fire. By 9:40 a.m. it was over. The palace was destroyed, 500 Zanzibaris were dead or wounded, and exactly 1 British sailor was injured. That's efficiency. Or brutality, depending how you look at it. Fact 12. There's a village in Scotland called Dull, and it's not just dull, it's officially twinned with Boring, Oregon in the USA and Bland, Australia. This trinity of tediously named towns have formed the Trinity of Tedium, and it's become a massive tourist attraction. People travel specifically to visit Dull just for the irony. The town now has signs reading, "Dull partnered with Boring." Sometimes the best marketing is just embracing who you are. Fact 13. Britain drives on the left side of the road because of medieval knights. Back in the day, most people were right-handed, including knights carrying swords. When passing strangers on horseback, you'd want your sword hand, your right hand, closest to them in case they attacked. This meant traveling on the left side of the path. This tradition stuck, became law, and now 1/3 of the world's population drives on the left, mostly in countries that were part of the British Empire. So basically, sword fighting determined how billions of people drive today. Fact 14. British accents change approximately every 25 miles. The UK has the highest density of accent variation per square mile anywhere on Earth. You can drive for half an hour and people will sound completely different. Liverpool and Manchester are only 35 miles apart, but sound worlds apart. This is because communities were isolated for centuries, developing distinct dialects before modern communication connected everyone. It's linguistic evolution in fast forward. Fact 15. 55% of the London Underground isn't actually underground. Yeah, the tube runs above ground more than half the time. Only the central sections in the city core are deep underground. Once you get to the outer zones, trains pop up to the surface and run on regular tracks. The name is basically false advertising. But the London, sometimes underground, sometimes regular train system doesn't have the same ring to it. Fact 16. The UK is an island nation, but it imports sand. How does that make sense? Britain has plenty of sand on its beaches, but it's the wrong type of sand for construction. Beach sand is too smooth and rounded from erosion. It doesn't bind well in concrete. So the UK imports millions of tons of rougher, angular sand from places like the Netherlands and France for construction. There's actually a global sand shortage happening right now, making this even more bizarre. We're running out of sand on a planet that's covered in beaches. Fact 17. No point in the UK is more than 70 miles from the coast. The UK is relatively small, about the size of Oregon, and it's an island. But this fact really puts it in perspective. You're never more than a 90-minute drive from the ocean. Compare that to the United States, where some places are over 1,000 miles from the nearest coast. This proximity to the sea shaped British history, maritime trade, the Royal Navy, fish and chips, the whole island mentality. Fact 18. Stonehenge, one of the world's most famous monuments, was privately owned until 1918. A man named Cecil Chubb bought it at an auction for £6,600, about $850,000 in today's money. His wife was apparently not happy about this impulse purchase. 3 years later, feeling guilty, he donated it to the British nation. Imagine casually buying Stonehenge. Honey, I bought a 5,000-year-old mysterious stone circle. You mad? Fact 19. London's famous black taxicabs must be able to make a U-turn within a specific diameter, exactly 25 feet, or 7.6 meters. This requirement dates back to the era of horse-drawn hackney carriages needing to turn around in the narrow courtyards of London's historic hotels. The design specification is in the official Conditions of Fitness regulations. Every single London taxi is built to this standard, so that's why they look bulky and have that tight turning circle. It's literally the law. Fact 20. Cornwall has its own language that nearly went extinct. Cornish is a Celtic language related to Welsh and Breton. The last native speaker died in 1777, and the language was considered dead for centuries. But in the 20th century, linguistic enthusiasts revived it. Now about 500 people speak it fluently, and thousands more are learning. In 2002, the UK officially recognized Cornish as a minority language. It's one of the few dead languages to be successfully brought back to life. Fact 21. The UK was the last major Western country to abolish slavery. But here's the kicker. When they did it in 1833, the British government paid £20 million to compensate slave owners for their loss of property. That's roughly £17 billion in today's money, about 40% of the entire national budget at the time. British taxpayers were still paying off this debt until 2015. Let that sink in. The enslaved people got nothing. The owners got rich.
And regular British citizens unknowingly paid for it for 182 years.
Fact 22. There's a pub in Wales that can only be reached by boat or by walking along a cliff path. The Tai Coch Inn on the Llyn Peninsula has no road access. Visitors have to either sail there or hike along the coastal path. Despite being remote, it's been voted one of the best beach bars in the world. Imagine the logistics. Every beer keg, every food delivery has to be brought in by boat or carried by hand. But people do it because apparently nothing tastes better than a pint you had to work for. Fact 23. The UK has a national collection of slime mold. The Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew houses over 3,000 specimens of slime mold for research purposes. If you don't know what slime mold is, it's basically a brainless organism that can solve mazes, make decisions, and even plan optimal transport networks better than human engineers. Scientists have used slime mold to redesign the Tokyo subway system. Britain is literally keeping thousands of samples of intelligent goo for science. And honestly, that's pretty cool. Fact 24. British roads use 2.5 million tons of salt every year for de-icing. To put that in perspective, that's enough salt to fill 10,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, or about 40 kilograms for every single person in the country. Britain stockpiles this salt in massive reserves because if winter hits hard and they run out, the entire country grinds to a halt. There are actual strategic salt reserves, like some countries have oil reserves. Winter is coming, but Britain is ready with literal mountains of salt. Fact 25. The British drink 100 million cups of tea per day. That's about 36 billion cups per year. With a population of 67 million, that's roughly 1.5 cups per person daily, babies, and non-tea drinkers included. Britain imports more tea than any other nation except Russia, and drinks more tea per capita than anywhere except Turkey. The stereotype is 100% real. Tea is so embedded in British culture that during World War II, the government maintained tea supplies as a priority to keep morale high. Fact 26. There's a beach in England where the sand completely disappears in winter. Kingsgate Bay in Kent has a phenomenon where winter storms strip away all the sand, leaving just rocks and pebbles. Then in summer, ocean currents bring the sand back, and the beach returns. Locals have watched this cycle for decades. Beach in summer, no beach in winter, beach again in summer. Nature's seasonal etch-a-sketch. Fact 27. The Crown Estate technically owns almost all of the UK's seabed up to 12 nautical miles offshore. This means if you want to build offshore wind farms, dredge sand, lay cables, or do anything on the ocean floor around Britain, you're technically doing it on the monarch's property and need permission. The Crown Estate makes hundreds of millions of pounds annually from these rights. So yeah, the king owns the sea. Well, the seabed. Close enough. Fact 28. Wales has a town with a name 58 letters long that's impossible to pronounce. Llanfair Pŵl Gwyngyl Gogorich Windrobol Llantysilio Gogogach. It translates roughly to St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near a rapid whirlpool and the Church of St. Tysilio near the Red Cave. The name was deliberately made long in the 1860s as a publicity stunt to attract tourists. And guess what? It worked. People travel there just to take photos with the train station sign. Fact 29. A Welsh town actually has only one vowel repeated in its name. Crymic. No A's, E's, I's, O's, or U's. Just Y. In Welsh, Y functions as a vowel. English borrowed tons of words from Welsh and other Celtic languages, but we dropped the complex pronunciation rules, which is why English spelling makes no sense. Blame the Celts, or the Normans, or both. Fact 30. And finally, there's a region where the border between England and Scotland technically moves twice a year. At Hadrian's Wall in certain disputed areas, local tradition has the border shift slightly based on seasonal land agreements between farmers that date back centuries. It's not official, but locals recognize it. So depending on the time of year, your house might be in England or Scotland. Talk about a geographic identity crisis. And there you have it. 30 absolutely wild facts about the United Kingdom that sound completely fake but are 100% true. From unicorns to underground trains that aren't underground, from 38-minute wars to beaches that vanish, the UK is way stranger than most people realize. Which fact shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more geography content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.